Hello, and welcome. It's me, Jo Yoga, and welcome to the Jo Yoga Life Diaries. So, if you heard last week's episode, you'll know that things were a little bit low for me, and I was going through a bit of a rocky patch. And, safe to say things are okay now, and I'm a lot better. And in actual fact, by the time you've heard this, I'll have already been back into schools and will have delivered my first face-to-face yoga classes in 6 months, face-to-face, actually in person. And it's so much has changed. So where I am today is I'm just getting everything together, ready to be able to go back into schools and to start up my children's and my teen yoga classes again. And I've been doing risk assessments and just getting everything together, getting all my cleaning equipment, my new mats, and just so I'm really, because I'm super organized, I like to be on top of everything. Otherwise, it all just builds up and I start to get a little bit anxious. Do you get that? So, so that's where you find me. So if you did listen to last week's episode where I was very emotional and very low, having just come back from holidays and not sure how things were going to pan out with going back to schools and things like that, I'm a lot better this week. But then we knew that would be the case anyway. We knew that I would be all right. And if any of you were feeling any kind of uncertainty or anxiety over the children going back to school and what's going to happen in the future, then I'm sure that you also are now feeling a little bit different now that the children have been back for a bit and we're starting to understand how it's working and how things are going to change. I mean, our mind really does create so much drama for us, doesn't it? Just overthinking and creating so many what if moments that we can't control. It's we're all the same. It's not just one person who feels like this, even though in the time you can often feel that way. And so, sort of in line with what's been going on over the last couple of weeks, today we're thinking about and having a little discussion about secret fears. So we all know about phobias and things like that, but one of the things that I found me and my girlfriends is talking about recently are kind of things, like secret worries that you probably wouldn't really put out there, and you probably don't even admit them to yourself half the time. These little fears that are just nestling in the back of your mind, and those things that stop you from actually stepping into complete alignment, that stop you from really taking risks and taking chances and living the fullest expression of yourself. And there are so many things that they can be thought of as limiting beliefs, but they're all fake. They're all little fears. What's the Gabby Bernstein acronym she uses for fear? False something acting real. False effects acting real, or false experiences appearing real. That might be it, something like that. Sorry, Gabby, for not quoting you correctly, but it's something like that. False something appearing real. So fear is very much what's in the mind, isn't it? It's very much just your thoughts, the thought process of things. And many secret fears, I sort of sent it out to friends and family and said, come on then, tell me your secret fears, and all sorts of things came back. But they tend to have the same gist. Things like appearing false, not knowing enough. And this is a really big one if you are a teacher or you're an entrepreneur or you're setting out in a new business, which I know many people are doing now. But one of the main thing is, who am I? Who am I to know this? Who's going to actually listen to me? I listened to, this is going off on a tangent a little bit, but I listened to the Alan Partridge advert for his new podcast that's coming out, and it's hilarious. And he's basically saying about that he thinks that podcasters are people who live with their mums and are tech little nerdy techies, and they're just talking to their USB microphone with their highfalutin opinions. So I really do apologize if you think my opinion is highfalutin, but it certainly isn't. It's just what I feel and that I've spoken to my friends about. And well, actually, I know to be real, because everything that I talk about in my podcasts and the advice that I offer is always something that I've experienced or I know to be real, to actually work. But one of the things that many of us teachers is that we experience this feeling of not knowing enough. Who am I? Who am I to be the one to talk about this? Who am I to be the one to advise people on what to do? Okay, so this is one of these fears that comes up. A little bit, it's known as imposter syndrome. Yep. They're going to catch me out. I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Okay. So fear of being a fraud, fear of being judged. This is a really big one, especially if you are considering making a change away from the norm. So for example, my family, I'm probably the only person that practices yoga in my family, and I'm very spiritual in the non-religious side of it. That's very, very different from anybody in my family. And when I first said that I was going to go into being a yoga teacher, I had full, lovely support. But my mum will openly admit, she was like, well, I didn't think there was much of a business in children's yoga. Thankfully, I got to prove her wrong. But yeah, it's making that break away from the norm. And if you are somebody, maybe you're a party girl and you're always out with your friends and you actually think, well, to be honest, I really want to not drink. And that is that fear, isn't it? That what if I lose my friends? What if I lose my social circle? What if I lose the reputation that I have as being the fun-loving, out there party girl? And then actually I just want to give my liver a break and I'm not going to drink either forever or for a few months. And it's scary, isn't it? It's scary being somebody new. If you want to lose weight, or if you want to take a whole new different direction in your life, or you want to leave a relationship and you're going to lose those friends that came with that relationship, and all of these like fears that come up of being judged and of losing something that is familiar to you, that stops you from making a decision that you want to make. Okay, so that uncertainty, that not knowing. And another fear that came up was fear of not achieving your full potential, fear of actually not being everything you want to be. And I was listening to a Wayne Dyer podcast or YouTube video the other day, and he said that one of the scariest things would be to be on your deathbed and know that your music hadn't played out. To be on your deathbed and to know that you still had something that you needed to do, or you still had a message to give, or you still had something to do. And that is the ultimate sadness. And that fear of not living to your full potential. And there's a great saying of, you only ever regret the things that you did. You don't regret the things that you didn't do. Is that true? No, that's not true. You regret. It's better to have tried something than to regret not even trying something. Yes. I know I've totally got that all muddled up, but you know what I mean, don't you? So that fear, that secret fear of not achieving your full potential, of not actually going out there and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and just seeing what could my life really be like. So if any of these fears have resonated with you, and I'm sure you've got some that you can probably add, some other fears that you may have, just the fear of failure, or the fear of losing your money, or, just think of those fears and how to overcome these fears and actually be prepared to step out of your comfort zone and see what's on the other side of it. And the first thing to do is write it down. Write your fear down. It's no good just thinking the fear in your head. If you write it down, it uses a different part of your brain that gets you thinking about that fear in a different way. So journal. Whether you are a journaling kind of person or not, doesn't make any difference. You write it down. You can write it on the back of a bit of junk mail that came in. You can write it down in a beautiful notebook that you keep. Just write it down. Once you've written your fears down, For example, I woke up the other morning with just like the biggest anxiety feeling in my tummy, like really tense tummy, had no idea why. Just like a feeling in your tummy that something bad's going to happen. But I had nothing planned for the day, so I didn't know what it was. And when I sat down with a piece of paper and started to write about this feeling in my tummy, it feels tight, it feels uncomfortable, I'm not sure what it is. I really need to email some parents. I don't feel ready for my classes. And that was it. There was two things that were subconsciously in my mind, which were then affecting my body. And it took just writing that they just came out, these two things that could be so easily fixed. One, I sent the email to the parents, and the second, I got myself organized and planned. Funny feeling in my tummy, gone. Bring on the next one. So yeah, journal, write down what your fears are. And when you can see them clearly in paper, see them clearly in front of you, it makes your brain start to work very differently around them. Accept that you feel these feelings. Accept that, okay, the reason that I'm not taking that job opportunity or even applying for that job is because I'm worried I might fail. Okay, accept it. You are worried that you might fail. So you then take it a bit further and you then start to think, okay, what is the worst that will happen if I do fail? What might happen? Okay, so I might look silly and be embarrassed. I might lose that job. Okay, so you look silly and you feel embarrassed. What then? Or you lose the job. What then? You apply for another. Okay, so you see, you start to think in a more logical sense and less emotive. When the fear is taking over, you want to come back and get into reality and what really is. So you accept that, yes, that's how I feel. And then through the acceptance will come the reasoning. And notice your questioning as well. When you're reasoning about your fear, it's the, well, what if I fail? Well, what if I look silly? Well, what if I lose my friends? Well, what if? Change it to how can I take this job and be the best I can be? Okay, so I show up every day, I plan, I organize. How can I step into this relationship and not let all the habits of my old relationships come through? Fine, you become present and you take each day as it comes. Okay, so it's how can. Get rid of the what if, change it to how can I? How can I fulfill my highest potential? Okay, we'll write down all of the things that you want to achieve, and then how can you achieve the first thing? What's the first steps? And then from there, you're going to take action. Because without action, nothing's going to change. Without action, you're not going to get rid of that fear. So if I'm nervous about going into, for example, I'm going into a new school this week. Well, not a new school, but in a totally new format. So I'm going into school this week and I'm nervous. Well, do you know what? I'm just going to have to take action and just get out there and do it. That's the only way to do it. I get nervous about going on Insta stories and talking about my amazing yoga programs. Well, I'm just going to have to do it. So I have to take action. You have to take action. But when you do take action, stay open as well. Stay open to receive. Stay open-minded to, well, so what if it doesn't work out? That's okay. Oh my gosh, it has worked out. And not only that, I've got a pay rise. Yes, stay open to all possibilities and all opportunities. Don't look at, if you've got a plan to step out of your comfort zone and to do or be something, and your plan is really rigid, you just take the little step that you want to take. But if your plan is rigid, you've got no room for the universe to make the movement for you and to make it easy for you. So stay open and accept all the challenges and the opportunities that come your way. Okay, you are incredible. So when these secret fears come up, it normally means that you're out of alignment somewhere. Remember to trust the universe. When you are aligned with the universe and you're aligned with where you want to go and you're aligned with what you want to be and what your purpose is, you'll feel it. You'll feel it in your body. Remember to always have that stillness. Remember to ask yourself the questions, how can I? And remember to accept those fears, journal, and then take action. I will see you gorgeous people next week. If you haven't had the opportunity to just yet, you will see that I have a 9-day yoga program running at the moment. So please do come and join us. You can find the link in the show notes, and I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. If anything resonated or you feel inspired to, please share, as that is how we spread the healing. To learn more about me, my teachings, or any of the Joe Yoga programs, go to www.joeyogauk.co.uk, and I'll see you next time. Bye.